The hidden passage led them into a labyrinth of forgotten corridors, remnants of the station's older infrastructure. Dust hung thick in the air, undisturbed for years, and the only light came from dim maintenance strips lining the floor. They moved swiftly, Elara leading with unerring precision. Riven didn't ask how she knew the way. He already suspected the answer. "How much did they take from me?" he asked, voice tight as they maneuvered through a collapsed section. Elara hesitated. "More than you can imagine." They emerged into a vast hangar bay, one of the many storage docks that had long been decommissioned. In the center sat a sleek, black ship, its design unlike any standard Dominion craft. "You planned this," Riven realized. Elara turned to him, those celestial eyes gleaming. "I knew you would hesitate. I hoped you would remember." A deep vibration shook the station. Security forces were closing in. Riven drew his plasma pistol. "And if I hadn't?" She offered a small, sad smile. "Then I would have died knowing you were still in there somewhere." The door behind them blasted open, soldiers pouring in, weapons raised. Riven reacted on instinct, firing precise shots that forced them into cover. "Get the ship running!" he shouted. Elara sprinted aboard, her fingers dancing over the controls. The engines hummed to life as she overrode the docking restrictions. Riven held the line, ducking behind a supply crate as return fire scorched the metal around him. A familiar voice echoed over the station's comms. "Hale, stand down!" Commander Kale Varos, the Supreme Chancellor's enforcer. Riven's former mentor. "You know the cost of this betrayal," Varos continued. "Surrender, and you might still have a place in the Dominion." Riven exhaled sharply. "I already had a place. You stole it from me." Varos stepped into view, clad in reinforced armor, a plasma blade igniting in his hand. "You were remade into something greater. A soldier with no past, no weakness." Riven clenched his jaw. "I was a man." Varos moved like lightning. Riven barely parried in time, their blades clashing in a shower of sparks. The duel was brutal. Varos fought with precision honed by decades of training, but Riven fought with something stronger. Memory. Purpose. "Elara, go!" Riven shouted between blows. "I'm not leaving you," she called back. Varos sneered. "Foolish sentiment." He struck, a feint that nearly cost Riven his life. He barely dodged, feeling the heat of the plasma blade singe his side. The ship's thrusters roared. "Riven!" Elara's voice was urgent now. A decision. A risk. Riven saw the opening and took it. Disengaging, he rolled back, fired a precise shot at the fuel line above Varos. The explosion knocked the commander off his feet, buying Riven just enough time to sprint aboard. The moment he hit the ramp, Elara launched the ship. The hangar blurred past as they shot into the void of space, alarms blaring behind them. "Are they following?" Riven asked, gripping his side. Elara checked the scanners. "Not yet, but they will." He sank into the co-pilot's seat, catching his breath. The weight of everything crashed over him. The lies, the years of stolen memories, the battle still ahead. Elara placed a gentle hand over his. "You have a choice now, Riven. What do you want to be?" He looked at her, at the infinite cosmos stretching before them. For the first time in years, he had no orders. No chains. Just a future waiting to be written. Riven Hale took the controls, a slow smile forming. "Let's find out." And together, they vanished into the stars. The Dominion would not let them go so easily. As their stolen ship drifted into deep space, the proximity alarm flared. Elara's hands moved quickly over the controls, eyes scanning the data. "They've already locked onto us." Riven exhaled sharply. "How many?" "2 Dominion warcruisers." He clenched his fists. They had barely escaped, and already the Dominion was closing in. We need a jump point. Elara shook her head. The hyperdrive is still charging. We have 2 minutes. Then we buy time. Riven adjusted the ship's heading, angling toward a nearby asteroid field. The war cruisers loomed behind them, sleek and deadly, their cannons charging. We won't last in a firefight, Elara warned. We won't have to. The ship shuddered as the first barrage struck the aft shields. Riven guided them through the dense asteroid belt, weaving between massive rocks as the Dominion pursued. Chunks of debris exploded behind them as the war cruisers fired indiscriminately. A warning light flashed red. Shields at 20%, Elara reported. Almost there. Another blast rocked the ship. Sparks flew from the console. The hyperdrive indicator turned green. Now! Riven shouted. Elara hit the switch. The ship lurched forward, stars stretching into infinity as they slipped into hyperspace, leaving the Dominion behind. Silence settled between them, the hum of the ship the only sound. Elara turned to Riven. Where to? He leaned back, considering. Somewhere they'll never find us. She smiled. Then let's disappear. The coordinates Elara punched and led them to an uncharted system, a place hidden in the vast unknown of the galaxy. A rogue planet orbited a dying star, its surface a mixture of dense jungles and sprawling ruins from a civilization long forgotten. As they landed in a clearing, Riven stepped out first, the humid air thick with the scent of alien flora. He turned to Elara. You've been here before. She nodded. It was a sanctuary once, for those who resisted the Dominion. And now? Elara exhaled. Now, it's all that's left. Footsteps echoed from the treeline. Figures emerged, their silhouettes tense but not hostile. A man stepped forward, weathered but resolute. His eyes flicked between Elara and Riven. You made it, he said. And you brought him. Riven's gut tightened. You know who I am. The man nodded. We all do. You were one of us before they took you. Memories stirred again, glimpses of another life, another purpose. A resistance. A war for freedom. A family he had forgotten. Elara reached for his hand. This is where you choose, Riven. Stay with them. Stay with us. Or keep running. He looked at her, then at the people waiting, watching, hoping. Riven took a slow breath. He had spent years being a weapon. Now, he had a chance to be something more. He turned to the man. Tell me everything. The resistance leader smiled. Welcome home.